Hello, welcome back to Auto Pop Culture, and today we're going over the movie called It Chapter 2. Now, I haven't reviewed the first chapter, which is just called It, and I know this is a whole remake and everything, but the fastest way I can kind of introduce it to you is pretty much if you don't know, is pretty much about these kids who get terrorized by this entity called It, or more directly, Pennywise, and he's a clown generally, and then he kind of goes from different shapes and everything to scare off the kids, and the more that he scares them, the more tasty they are to him, and he gets to eat them. So, in the first movie, they were able to semi-defeat defeat him, and they knew that he was going to come. There just might be a chance he might come back, and if they do, and if he does, then they have to, like, they made a whole blood oath that they would come back and fight him again. So of course he does, because chapter 2, 27 years later, how I feel about this one, I honestly feel like it was less scarier than the other one. I feel like the first one was definitely scary, completely scary. Nice twist. Dux turned all the additional like stuff to it than the miniseries. I see the miniseries a long time ago. I remember like maybe this much of it. So yeah, so like it's the miniseries is, oh sorry, they did a nice, better version in the first one in the compared to the miniseries. I have not read the book, so I don't really know from there other than like the pieces of information I've got from like some YouTube videos that I've watched. Yeah, I just didn't really think it's as scary as the first one. I felt like it was funnier. It was definitely, well, yeah, I think it was funnier than the first one. I think the one thing did notice, a lot of people I've noticed also said the same thing, is that they had a lot, like always a punchline or something, like something funny, always at the end of a like scare. Like not all the time, like whenever Bill Hader's character was inside of it, his name was Ritchie, would be there for the scares. Like they would always break down in some type of like funny punchline at the end of it of the scare. So it kind of threw off a lot of the intensity. So, but other than that, I liked it. You don't really feel like it's 3 hours. Like I personally felt like there's always a part in different 3-hour movies, like Endgame or Australia, like when they get to that point where it's like, okay, your body kind of realizes like, it's been 2 hours. We should be leaving now. Like this is it, and then you gotta go over another hump to like finish the end, like the actual ending. I feel like Endgame kind of did that, and Australia definitely did that. But I felt like this one, we were kind of invested in see like what the hell is gonna go on, and just like Avengers Endgame, I felt like there's a middle piece where they had to go back in the future and Endgame and like collect things and bring it all back and then try to defeat Thanos. In this one, I felt like they had to do the exact same thing and just scatter. They all come back to the city of Derry, all grown up and all kind of did their own things and moved out except for one of the friends. So let me break down some of the people first so I can kind of just say it. So the characters we have is Beverly, who's played by Jessica Chastain. Bill, who is played by James McElroy. Bill usually is like semi-main character who has his brother killed by by Pennywise in the first one. Ritchie, who's the funny-ish guy who's played by Bill Hader. Mike, who is the guy that stayed after everybody left after the first encounter. He decided to stay and kind of look up everything. So he's played by Isaiah Mustafa, who's if you don't remember him, the biggest memory is Old Spice. He's the Old Spice guy. And then we have Ben, who was the big kid in the first one, and then he got skinny, got built up and everything. He's played by Jay Ryan, who's, you remember, if you've seen the show, I kind of watched one episode of it, didn't really think it was that great. Beauty and the Beast is like a detective kind of show. He plays the Beast. And then we have Eddie, who's played by James Ranson, who's in the two Sinister movies. Stanley, who's played by Andy Bean, who's in Here and Now, which I still gotta watch that. And then Pennywise is played by Bill Skarsgård. So in this whole thing, so Mike is the one that brings them all back. They all go together. They figure out they need to get together to like find out, like get their coins to beat Pennywise, and then put it into this like do this like tribal ritual, and that'll defeat him, which it doesn't really work at all. But the whole like main part of it, of the chunk of it, is them going through different parts of Derry trying to find their coins or their tokens or something significant, or like to symbolize their past. It's something that they haven't got over yet. So they all do it. They all come back and they go underground. They go even further underground to find out that this place where it actually landed on Earth. And they don't really do a really good job of explaining that exactly, other than like he appeared and he's here, blah blah blah, and like, which is kind of sucks. Is I was really really hoping they would introduce like the turtle in some ways. Cause I know for sure in the book that they introduced a turtle in some way. But they didn't introduce the turtle in this one, which sucked. What I thought was like, oh, I kind of want to see it. But, and also I felt like another critique I had from it was that they kind of talked down him, like to kill Pennywise. They just talked down to him, say like, you're a clown, you're a clown, you're a clown, you're nothing, you're a clown, and it's supposed to be like kind of like they're not scared and supposed to make him like. He goes into the form that he's like been told to go into, I guess. Like I tried to figure that out. I couldn't really understand what's going on, but they pretty much talk down to him until he becomes like a little tiny baby clown, and they take a heart and they crush it together. Yeah, it was just there's some just parts of it that were kind of just like, oh, okay. Like I feel like there's more explanation we need from that, but we didn't really get it. One thing for sure is that the cast was amazing. Jessica Chastain was my first choice when they're saying that they're gonna do it 27 years later and they're coming back to the second one. I was like, Chastain. She's the only one that has a beautiful red hair, other than Amy Adams. But I was okay with Chastain. I feel like she has a little more. Like I feel like Amy Adams is too. Not too pretty. I feel like one takes more serious roles, while the other one kind of does too. But like she's. I feel like she's too gorgeous to be Beverly entirely. Like she's too like. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I thought she did a great job. I thought James McAvoy did a great job. I felt like there's some parts of it where I was trying to figure out exactly where he fits as this character, but it worked out fine. Bill Hader as Ritchie was literally like linear to exactly this character from before as a kid. He was just as funny, if not a little more sarcastic. Ben was a little more serious. I kind of wish they would. I'm very happy that he got to kiss Beverly in the end after she figures out who wrote the letter or poem, which I thought we figured that out in the first one, but maybe because they were gone for so long, 20 years later, but every memory, including where the note came from, kind of went away as well. Eddie did a great, James Ranson did a great job as Eddie, very nervous, and he had the whole face and everything, and how he like defeated that one bully that came back to kill him, which is one of the most scarier parts than actually Pennywise, honestly. I feel like his thing showing up and them not knowing that he's there was like the most scarier parts. Stanley ended up killing himself because he didn't want to go back. I didn't really get that part when he was like, oh, if I didn't kill myself, I guess I would never came back. And I was like, I think they would have came back anyway, because he did come back without knowing that Stanley wasn't there. And of course, Bill Skarsgård did a great job, of course. Like, I wish they had more. I wish they used him more often, honestly. I felt like he's shaped in so many things that you didn't really get to see him as often. And I think that when he did come in, he was more of the miniseries, where he's kind of like, he wasn't as scary as he more was just like kind of silly. with the "Kiss Me Fat Boy" kind of thing, which was so funny that he kept that. I'm glad they kept it, but I felt like the miniseries wasn't really that scary of a clown, where this one was way more like realistic and gory, and I felt like I was kind of missing that part in a lot of the movie. But all in all, I thought it was a good book. I thought it was a good book. I thought it was a good movie. I pretty much give it a 7 out of 10. Maybe a 6.5 out of 10, because I felt like there's a lot of things I felt like weren't really hitting as hard as the first movie did. The first movie really had a lot to go against when it came to the first movie compared to the second one. But all in all, I think it's a great sequel compared on its own little area. If I were to put them by itself without knowing anything else, I would think it was pretty good. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought about the movie. Were you excited to see it? Did you like the cast? What did you think about the 3 hours? Did you actually feel like it was actually 3 hours? Did it feel 3 hours to you? And also, do you also think that, and I know a lot of people actually read the book, so people that have read the book, do you feel like it missed a lot of turns, or do you think it was appropriate for the things that happened, for the plot that happened inside this movie? So leave a comment below, let me know. It's a Thursday, so I'm so excited because that means that pretty soon we're gonna have Friday picks, and there's a shit ton of songs that are gonna come out probably by 10 o'clock. I'm definitely gonna start watching the American Horror Story 1984, so keep an eye out for that review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.